Good Sunday morning, November 24th, 2024. Welcome to the wrap up from yesterday's chaos in college football. Everything that could happen to throw the system into utter chaos happened. Good morning, Chuck. How are you this morning?
I'm wonderful. I
How,
thought I was excited about all the things that took place yesterday. It was a great Saturday afternoon in college football. Great Saturday, period.
That's right. That's right. How many cups of caffeine and chaos have you had today?
Three, and I kind of stopped right there. I was like,
Oh yeah, we took off yesterday and went down to Greenville to Top Golf. Brooke had Brian's little birthday to get together down there with us, and we had a great time. And I've never been to a place to Top Golf. We were able to watch football as we were down there. Had a great time, and then coming back, Jonathan was able to use my phone and watch the end of the Florida Ole Miss game, and then the start of we watched the first half of the Notre Dame Army game, and just pretty obvious that one was going to be over in a hurry. In spite of our wishes that Army add themselves to the playoff mix, but got a lot of stuff to talk about from yesterday. Just an overview. The teams that could not afford to lose lost. And I'll say this, that for Colorado, for Ole Miss, and for Alabama, those games, the Florida Ole Miss game was the most competitive of the three. But if you take away freshmen and young errors, even the Ole Miss Florida game wasn't that close. The better team won yesterday, and I think in all three of those games.
I don't. I think they were upset. I think Ole Miss is better team than Florida. But look, on that Saturday, Florida was better.
That's what I mean. I'm talking about yesterday on those fields. The Kansas Colorado game wasn't competitive, and in reality, neither was Oklahoma and Alabama. And we're going to get into everything, and we're going to get in and break down where we see the playoff starting to head as we go into the final week of the regular season. But let's start with Yankee Stadium last night, Chuck. Army and Notre Dame, and I'll tell you that I really thought going in that Army had a chance to not just to stay close. I thought Army had a chance to win the football game. They needed to do things. They needed to control the ball. They needed to control the clock, and they have not had an opening drive this season, Chuck. And I didn't know this till just watching it last night. In every game until last night, they scored on their opening drive, and 3 and out. Notre Dame got the ball, boom, 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 touchdown, and it was basically over from that point on.
Right.
Army, both sides of the line of scrimmage. Notre Dame was better, and their speed was just superior.
Right. Well, I knew I just felt that there was not a path for Army to get in here because the week before. Just as one of the many measuring things that the committee does is that they dropped Army from 15 to 18, and I thought, okay, they're preparing us that there's just having watched Army, there's not this is not a good matchup, and you felt that, but you were hoping for that upset.
Yeah.
We're all hoping for it, because they play the game right, but it was in each team's first series. You said this is just not happening. There's a big difference in the lines, the interior lines, and the speed difference. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah, and so and again, I was shocked at how well Notre Dame played. I was shocked at because if you saw did you see the pregame of that game? So it's an NBC game, so it's all about Notre Dame. You understand that,
right?
But they interviewed the head coach right before kickoff, and I kind of knew then. I remember I looked at Jonathan before he passed out, falling asleep, driving home. They said, Coach, what's it going to take, and what have you told your kids? What have you told your kids to get ready for today's game? And he looked at her, and he looked at the camera, and he said, violence. And she kind of just stood there, and he said, violence. Period. End of discussion. Violence. And you kind of thought, I thought, uh-oh. And, you don't hear that mentality out of the Notre Dame thing a whole lot. They're not known as this tough, hard-nosed, old school SEC, old school Ohio State, Michigan, Big Ten kind of football team. But, man, they were violent last night.
And it paid off. They had the right mindset to handle that triple option and that variety of offensive sets that Army runs. But they're a dominant run football team. And, it is what it is that there was a clear difference in talent levels of each team. And Army controlled it from the start and never relinquished it. And that's the way it rolls.
Well, it was obvious.
Army has to get rid of Navy.
Yep, and it was very obvious. Now Army, before they play Navy, they've got a regular season game to play, right, the conference championship game to play, and then they have Navy. So they can still end up at 12-1 or 13-1. So, and plus a bowl game after that. So, we're pulling for them until the bitter end.
Right.
And so let's kind of go through the conferences here, the conference games that were of significance yesterday. Let's start in the Atlantic Coast Conference.
Okay.
We need to start with SMU, but I'm going to go ahead and we'll talk Miami real quick. Miami 42-14 over Wake Forest. Wake stuck with them early and then got away from them down in Miami.
Back play out of Wake Forest.
Say that again?
Poor quarterback play out of Wake Forest.
Really? Okay. Just I only saw like a play or two here or there that was up, but Miami, kudos to them. Did you watch any of the game, Chuck?
Yes, I watched the game. Angie and I watched that game at noon.
What kind of crowd? What kind of crowd did they have down in Miami?
A respectable crowd. They had a pretty good crowd there.
Good for them. And here we go. Clemson 51-14 over the Citadel. But I'm telling you, man, Clemson's right there now. Yeah. Clemson is right there. The biggest game that they have played in 3 or 4 years is going to be Saturday, because South Carolina is somehow, with 3 losses, South Carolina's close.
Yeah,
they're not going to get in, and I don't see Clemson getting in unless things happen that we'll talk about in a little bit. But I'm not the biggest Dabo, and we've talked about this for years. I like Dabo, but I'm not the biggest fan of his. But I will tell you this: through this era of college football, he is in big time programs. He's the only one that's done it differently and tried to stay away from all the stuff, all the money, all the transfers, all the things and kudos to him for that. They're on the cusp. I don't. Are they a national championship contender, Chuck? I don't think so. You might disagree, but they do have a chance to get in.
Yeah, you're right on having a chance to get in. Clemson, the ACC teams don't have the gravitas right now to say, okay, if we win on the final Saturday or the final regular season game, we're in. They got to have some things happen, outside the ACC that they can't control. So controlling their own destiny is not, where the ACC is at right now. Miami wins, and I'm talking mainly Clemson and SMU, because I think that Miami being in the driver's seat, having lost that one game and not dropping out of the top 10, Miami can win the final regular season game, the ACC, and they're in. But if SMU can't lose, or if SMU wins their final regular season game along with Clemson beating South Carolina, they're still not guaranteed to be in. Because something happens really significant outside in the Big Ten or in the SEC or even the Big 12. We've ignored the Big 12 all season long, and here comes up Arizona State.
Yep.
It's like, whoa.
Yep. And absolutely. And we're getting there in just a minute with that. Man, SMU, Chuck, is SMU the best team in the Atlantic Coast Conference?
They'll have the chance to prove it.
Don't give me that answer. Give me the Chuck answer right now. As we sit here on the 24th.
No, Miami's better.
Okay. But what a story. I love stories.
Right.
And I think the ACC is going to get into, and unless something crazy happens, I think it's Miami and SMU.
Well, they're both going to play for the conference championship. Okay. They could get into, I think they're going to get in one. I think a lot more is happening in Group of 5. Notre Dame is, solidifying their spot. They're a non-conference, team that will go as, I think, around 5 and host. I think they'll get one, the winner of the ACC. I think SMU is one of those teams when it comes to playoff time, like Florida State last year. They're going to be that Florida State. They're going to be right on the cusp and not in.
And man, what in the world has happened up in Pittsburgh?
Collapse.
Wow.
Just an absolute collapse. Defense.
Wow.
On defense, David. They hung their hat on defense, and defense right now is not working for them. Their offense has just sputtered to the point where their defense is on the field the whole entire time.
Yeah. Boston College just destroyed North Carolina. It's a great story that nobody's going to talk about is what they're doing up in Syracuse. Man, Florida State, yay, you scored 41 on Charleston Southern. Yay. And then Duke. Duke's another good story. I think Duke is another good story this year. So there's a lot of things in the ACC. I think the conference, because you're a conference guy. You're a conference guy, and I think the ACC is a better conference than people have given them credit for. I think the ACC, in my opinion, I think the ACC is a better conference than the Big 12, and I don't think that's debate. To me, it's if you're talking about conferences. Good morning, Coach Matthews. Good morning. We're going to talk about that in just a minute.
I think the ACC is, and I respect your opinion, but I don't think the ACC is as good as you think it is. I think that when you have a Florida State team, and quite frankly, a Clemson team that are not as the ACC needs those big dogs for us in the ACC. They need those big dogs. Because the gravitas out of SMU and everybody else, they can't carry the day. So it is what it is. Oh, he's drinking coffee.
And let me go back, but before anybody says anything, I'm on a roll. Good morning, Jonathan. Good morning, Coach Matthews. Let me get into this real quick. Let's go to the Big 12. I love Arizona State. I love the way this guy coaches. I love his passion, and I love the fact that they took BYU and beat them last night. So we're not going to talk about BYU being in the playoffs anymore. They're done. They're finished. Kansas, man, whatever happened the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season at Kansas? Because right now, Kansas is a top 15 team in this country, but they have a 5. They're 5-5 or 5 or whatever.
It's because it's not basketball season.
Hold on a minute. Hold on now. They laid the wood to Colorado yesterday in every way possible. Iowa State with another big win, and we've always, and I think, Chuck, you and I agree, we like Coach Campbell over there. But every time they have these winning years like they have now, it's always, are they going to keep him? Are they going to keep him? Y'all make enough money, just stay where you're at for a little bit. So let's talk Arizona State. 28-23 over BYU. They are now a playoff contender.
Correct? Well, only if they win the Big 12. That's the thing. Nope.
That's what.
The Big 12 is only getting one team in. That's the Big 12 champion.
Chuck?
I agree with Johnson 100%.
So, but they have a chance, and no one would have thought that at the end of ever when the season started.
I agree.
And so I'm tickled with that.
If Arizona State beats Arizona next week, they are in the Big 12 championship game.
Yeah, tip your bill down right there. Look straight up the camera. What? That's a UT hat. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the best UT logo besides the Power T, baby.
Okay. Right.
Okay. Big Ten yesterday. Look, Indiana's in the playoffs. Okay. Indiana's in the playoffs, man. I think we all agree with that. Don't say anything yet. Don't, Jonathan, stop. Hold on. Indiana's in the playoffs. But they are not. They've got a little bit to go. Ohio State was just a different level yesterday.
Right.
And they played really well. Matter of fact, they played really, really well. And to prove a point, and they played with a chip on their shoulder. And Indiana's going to, they're going to get one of the, I don't know how the seeding's going to go. You guys will talk to me about that when I get to that point. But let's talk that game. Let's talk about that game yesterday up in Columbus, Chuck and Jonathan.
All right, but that's what I'm trying to say, Doug. And y'all hated on me all year, but now you're on the train of whatever I said about Indiana.
Look at Chuck.
That's why I find it funny, because y'all all year like, oh no, Indiana's the best. Indiana's the best. No, they're not. But
oh God, look at Chuck's face. He's turning red.
Now, how it works though, Indiana wants you got to play your schedule. Cignetti didn't make the schedule, and so I'm not hating on that. My thing is, and this is what I told you guys yesterday. Last year, I know this is not last year, and I know there's 12, not 4. Last year, Georgia had one loss and got left out of the playoff because their strength of schedule was triple digits. It was 100th.
Well, hold on. We're not there yet. We're going to get to that.
But just stop. You cut me off a second to go on it. You cut me off a second on it, so I'm going to say my piece about it. Indiana can only play their schedule. The only team, give me one second, I'm going to pull it up. I don't want to misspeak. But the only team that Indiana has played that has it's either winning or 2 games above 500 was at the moment was Washington or something like that. Well, not very impressive. I don't know what Michigan's record is at the moment.
But we're going to get to that. I want to talk about the game.
I know that. I'm going to talk about my piece for a second. All right. And you keep cutting me off. I'm losing my train of thought. So like Indiana, yes, they're in, but Indiana is not a good football team. Because when Indiana, the reason why they're in is because Ole Miss and Alabama lost. That's the reason why they're in. They got absolutely physically beat yesterday from top to bottom. Cool. They came out with a lot of emotion early. You know what? It's just like PGA golf. You can't win the tournament on Thursday. You can lose it on Thursday, though. Indiana, you can't win the game in the first quarter. They played phenomenal in the first 2 drives, and they exerted all their energy and gave up all and showed all their flashy stuff they had hidden for Ohio State early. And Ohio State said, cool, ain't our first rodeo. That's the thing about Indiana. They're not built for this. They may be in the future, but right now they got physically just beat to piss yesterday because Ohio State is that much better than them. And Ohio State could have put 50 on them, but they didn't.
All right, Chuck, let's talk about the game because we're going to get back and talk about all that other stuff. But let's talk about that game yesterday where Jonathan, we talked in our production meeting just before the show. We didn't have a long one. I thought that a statement that was made in pregame warmups by one of the guys from the Fox pregame show, and he or was it Herb Street? One of them said in pregame warmups, and I will never forget Coach Matthews saying when we went down Jonathan's senior year, we went down to Alabama, and he looked at me after pregame warmups and he goes, "Dude, they sure look better in their uniforms than our guys." And that was, I guess that was Urban Meyer that said that yesterday. Man, Ohio State just looks better in their uniforms than Indiana.
Boy,
and wait, let me get this is for Chuck real quick but we'll get back to you. Just calm down.
It's about what you were saying.
But how much better, Chuck, in your opinion? And then we're gonna get down and let Jonathan go. How much better was Ohio State than Indiana from a pure physical standpoint?
They were elite to good versus good. Indiana was good. We saw that. They got exposed. They are not at the level of Ohio State, and it showed because not one time, no matter the opening touchdown by Indiana, 7-0. I watched the 60-minute preview last night. The Big Ten replay of it in 60 minutes. I can't watch Ohio State for 3 hours. And when you get it that fast, you're like, it's like a JV team playing a varsity team to show you the difference in talent, speed, physicalness. And Ohio State, I was left with Ohio State could very well win the national championship. Indiana will they're going to be a one and done.
Well, they got a home. If they play at home and the weather is a factor, it's not. It might not be a one and done because. But we'll get again. We're going to get into all that in just a minute. Jonathan, let me throw it to you real quick.
No, can I speak?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Chuck, will you punch him in the nose?
I'm just saying, if I've got something to say that pertains to the conversation, the reason why Ohio State looks better in the uniform is because 23 transfers are from James Madison. It's not a slide on James Madison level of football, but there's a difference between SEC, Elite Big Ten, and James Madison. There is a difference in athlete in itself. And that's the reality. They had 23 that came from James Madison. They've played phenomenal all year, but playing FIU, Charlotte, you know what I'm saying? Like they're not like they're not. Here, I'm gonna pull up their schedule, and you'll see why all this makes sense.
And
FIU,
UCLA
sucks. Maryland, Northwestern, Nebraska had already fallen off when they played them. Washington. Where's the Penn State? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
where they played Ohio State and got thumped. I'm a believer. The only reason why I think they're getting in, and we'll go about this in a little bit, is because Ole Miss and Alabama lost. Otherwise, they would not get in because they
Can you
lost.
see the comments, Chuck?
No.
Jonathan, can you see the comments?
Yeah, no, and that's what Mike Matthews is correct. I've said this all along, but y'all told me I was crazy. Strength of schedule, if you are not undefeated, if you're undefeated, it is what it is. If you are not undefeated, Indiana's not undefeated now, and you get beat by more than 14 by an opponent that you're supposed to be in the same caliber as, you're not in anymore.
So let me ask you before Chuck, this is for
There
both
is
of you.
there's 12 teams.
So this is for both of you. And this is, and Coach Matthews has asked this question. Why should Indiana get in? And should they get in? If if say you guys were on the committee, Chuck?
Well, Indiana is a one-loss team that has played well. They're a better team than some people are giving them credit. And when you have an 11-1 team, how can you leave them out? Seriously, how can you
04 Auburn,
What?
2008, 2023 Georgia. You want me to keep going?
Yeah, because I'll answer that. That's a 4-team playoff.
It doesn't matter.
That's not, yes, it does. It matters. It's a 12-team playoff.
Hold on. Hey, 2023 Florida State undefeated.
What?
2023 Florida State undefeated.
14 playoff.
But once I get it, but here's the thing: you're going to sit here and tell me that I'm not an ACC lover. Y'all know this, but SMU and Miami are better than Indiana. So both of those playing in the ACC championship game, both of those should get in. Because if I serve correctly, as long as neither one of them loses next week, only one of them would have 2 losses. Whoever loses the ACC championship game, they both deserve to get in with their schedules over an Indiana. 100% in my mind.
Penn State.
Ole Miss out. Alabama out.
Yeah, but that's the thing is that they'll drop from 5. It's going to be interesting to see what hole's been created from Ole Miss and Alabama's loss going out of the play or the poll, and you're going to have Indiana slide in there, probably where you thought they were, 9. And all they have to do is win their game and next week and against Purdue, a lowly Purdue.
Okay, hold on.
Here's where I'm going to disagree with that real quick, though. Yes, I think they'll go to 9 because I'm looking right here. I think Notre Dame goes up to 5. I think everybody just bumps up their slots. Miami would go up 2 spots. Tennessee would probably go to 8. I would say Indiana go to 9. Okay, Boise would go to 10. SMU to 11. Well, if SMU wins, if they win the ACC, Indiana, you just got bumped because they now are a top 4 seed, and Miami, you just got put to 10 by Indiana.
Nah, that's not going to happen. I'm going to tell you.
You'll see. And this is not a difference of a SEC Big Ten. I'm just going by. I'm not a Boise State. Like, I think their schedule is crap. I don't think they should be in the top 10 personally, but whatever. Indiana has not literally played anybody of caliber.
Did you not see the text that I sent you?
No.
Okay, it's about that's not what the committee is emphasizing is the strength of schedule. They're emphasizing win-loss and head-to-head. And that's just and their eye test, what they're going to do. May not be what I want to do, but I'm telling you, Indiana deserves to be in there. Because if you look at Tennessee's losses, tell me where the Arkansas loss justifies Tennessee to be in the top 12.
You want to know where? No, I'll tell you where. You ready? Coming from the committee and the analyst, where they said Texas's good win was Arkansas. So that instantly it means it's a quote unquote good loss for Tennessee. That's why.
Win-loss record, what you do against your opponents. This is what I sent the article to you. So I'm emphasizing that Indiana deserves to be in it. Then if you start looking at it, well, why? Because of strength of schedule. One caveat: they've done what they're supposed to do, and other than the number 2 team on the road.
Here's a question that Mike Matthews has. Tell me where Indiana's eye test says they should be in. Where's the eye test for Indiana? Honestly,
Tell me they played the number 2 team on the road. Number 2
and got beat by more than 14. That's not a good eye test.
Who cares? More than 14. You look at your Arkansas loss, Tennessee. Look at Ole Miss. We argued about Ole Miss and Alabama. Both
Yeah, they're out. They're out.
5 and 5 unranked teams.
Yeah, they're out.
Hold on.
They just out for 3 losses.
Okay, hold on. We got to get to this because we're going to get back to what we're talking about, the playoff spots. You guys always get ahead of my dumb butt. Penn State, a one-loss, third or fourth or fifth ranked team, no one talks a whole lot about, including me.
Their record is better than they are.
Because if this goes back to, I don't know. I don't know enough about them.
I love their defense. I don't like their head coach. I don't want to compliment.
That goes back to the reason why I say the record's better than they are is I don't have faith in James Franklin to win the big games. But now Penn State, they're a prime example of why you don't want to play in your conference championship game.
Right. I agree with you 100%.
That's exactly why, because Penn State's got a chance. They got a chance to screw around and be the number 5 seed because they can't play. They can't be 1 through 4. They've got a chance because of that, depending on who wins Oregon, Ohio State, and Indianapolis.
Penn State's only loss is to who?
I have no idea.
Ohio State.
Oh, yes. There you go.
Only loss by Penn State is Ohio State. We're not discussing Penn State.
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy.
Yes, hey, I'm just saying when you start using just one measurement, and I sent that article, the committees, it's pretty much the strength of schedule is dumb.
But it's not dumb. Otherwise, everybody's going to play the school for deaf and blind every week.
Well, that's just the way they're working. I'm not on the committee to say yes or no.
So if you look at, I'm looking at Penn State's schedule. West Virginia, Bowling Green, no. Kent State, heck no. When they played Illinois, they were a little better than they are now. UCLA, no. They struggled at Southern Cal on the road. But that's always an interesting dynamic in the Big Ten right now because they said, I think Penn State was the first team to travel at least 2 time zones in the conference game and finally win. They were 0 before that, I think. Wisconsin, I think that's a decent win because it's Wisconsin. I do. I think Wisconsin's history. They lost, but see here, 7-point loss versus Ohio State. One score, not 3. And that was also 3 weeks ago. And you know as well as I do, Chuck, if you're going to lose, you lose early in the year, not late in the year. You lose. They lost over 3 weeks ago. That's out of it. That's out of everybody's mind. If you lose now, and we're 2 weeks from conference championship matchups, this is when you can't lose. Right. It's that simple. Washington, Washington, not a good win. Purdue, obviously not a good win. And Minnesota the other night or yesterday. Minnesota's better than people think, but I still don't think it's a great win. I'm not disagreeing, but it's also the fact of they play Wisconsin. You see what like they did? They played Illinois. Indiana ain't played these teams. Now, granted, Penn State ends with Maryland, not a super impressive team.
I would like to respond to that. Okay.
Go ahead.
After yesterday's loss to Ohio State, and after you and I argued by text, I got to thinking, I thought, oh, God.
About what?
Right. Johnson might be right. They may slide to, and David might be right. They may slide to the bubble 11 and 12. But because of the loss of Ole Miss and Alabama going out, who are you going to put ahead of Indiana if you move them to 12 or 11 or 10? SMU.
I mean, I'm being honest. As much as I don't want to say this, it hurts me. I'm going to say this. I don't think their schedule is very good at all this year. It's a stretch, but we'll find out Tuesday.
Right.
And you'll see what I mean by this. Indiana's one loss is worse than Clemson's 2 losses.
Oh, Jonathan, no.
No, you know how much it hurts me to say that.
Oh,
No. I'm talking about. Listen. I'm talking about after next week, after the final week of the season. If Clemson takes care of business against a very hot South Carolina team right now, you know what I'm saying? In the sense of they play South Carolina at home at noon, so not the environment. It would help them if they're on the road. If they take care of business and they beat South Carolina by 17 or more, a.k.a. what Indiana lost to Ohio State by, Clemson right now at 17, if A&M's getting bumped down, BYU's getting bumped down, Colorado's all getting bumped down. So minimum, Clemson moves up to 13 this week. Minimum.
right.
That's just off of the losses yesterday. So what I'm trying to say is, if they take care of business versus South Carolina and beat them by 17 or more, Indiana's gone, and it'll be Clemson at the 12th spot.
No,
I don't agree with it. I don't agree with that. But I'm just
I'm
saying
going to
that.
let you guys ponder on that for a second, because one of the things, and I tell people all the time, and it's funny, Chuck, you don't know. When I go to the grocery store, I've had a couple of people say, "Can I see y'all's group text?"
No.
No.
And I go, no, that's really, no, you don't want to see this group, because this group text now, we're in our 12th or 13th year of this, 11th year with this one text. I just started a group text and said, I want to talk to my friends real quick one day. And we're like 11 years later. We've had good days and we've had bad days, and we've had happy things, and we've hated each other for a few minutes.
I've left the text twice.
Yeah. Coach Matthews bailed about 8 years ago and said, "I love you guys. Don't ever put me in this again." But
Hey, I can say what I want to say to Jonathan,
yeah.
but nobody else can say what I say to Jonathan. I go to Don Jonathan's defense.
Because here's the thing.
You said I never came back.
In our group text, I say that to say that in our group text this time of year, every year, and you can ask anybody in it. You ask Jonathan and Lloyd and John and myself and Chuck. Chuck wakes up in the morning and goes, "Please God, please 8-5, however the Ricky Bobby thing is, please show me something that I can say that the SEC is just a horrible conference."
Yeah.
From morning, noon, and night, day and night, up and down. And I've been pondering on this for a while. And I'll tell you this. And you guys think about what I'm saying. Coach Matthews, I know you're there. Think about what I'm saying. And I think I want to see Indiana in the playoff. But I'm going to preface that before I say anything. I think they're a great story. I think it's great for college football. I just do. But anyway,
They're not getting home now.
When you talk about, to me, because I always tell Chuck, it's more than the conference. It's the teams. No, it's the conferences. So if I take the 2024 Vanderbilt Commodores and put them in the Big Ten in 2024 this year, and they play the same schedule that Indiana just played, Vanderbilt would be ranked 4th, 5th, or 6th in the nation right now. And going into next week's Vanderbilt-Tennessee game in Knoxville, Tennessee would be ranked behind them.
And they still would have gotten waxed.
I say that to say that Oregon could be an upper right now. Oregon would be in the upper echelon of the Southeastern Conference.
They're the
Ohio State
conference they're in.
Ohio State would be in the upper echelon of the Southeastern Conference. Maybe Penn State. I don't know.
Well,
Nobody else this year in that conference would be in the upper echelon of the totality of the teams. And I don't think that is a slide on anybody. And I don't think that's sitting there saying the Big Ten sucks, because the Big Ten doesn't suck. They don't. But when you're talking about the elite of the elite right now, and in the past couple of decades, year in and year out, not a team here and there, but I'm talking about the totality of everything, Vanderbilt would be, at least I believe that Vanderbilt would have gone into yesterday's game undefeated and ranked right or above where Indiana is ranked, and Tennessee and all the other teams in the SEC beside Texas would have been ranked below them.
Well,
is that a fair statement?
It's now I'm going to answer it this way: is that with your statement, on every premise of your statement, I disagree. But
Okay.
that is your opinion, and I
Yeah,
respect.
That's fine. It's cool.
But I disagree on every premise of your statement right there. I will say this: if you went to the committee who makes this decision, and told them that you're going to keep Indiana, a one-loss Indiana team, and their only loss is the number 2 team in the country of 12 teams, you're fooled. They're going to laugh you out.
They're in, and I want them to be in.
Right.
There's no doubt. I'm not disagreeing with them being in.
But
heck no.
But when you go and you start wanting to, play these imaginary what if games, you can be right in your own mind.
No,
I'm saying right now, Indiana only loss is.
I'm not talking about Indiana. I'm talking about the conferences. I'm talking about the conferences. There is no debate.
I disagree on every premise. Vanderbilt would not be in the elite in the Big Ten. You have to also take into the inclement weather.
Playing Indiana's schedule, Vanderbilt would not be elite.
No.
This year.
Yes.
This season.
Yes.
Okay.
I disagree with that, Chuck, because of the no. Do you want me to read their schedule?
No, you're on this.
I'm not talking about conference schedule. I'm just saying, do you want me to read their schedule?
You after playing UTEP, you're going to read me the schedule?
That has FIU.
After playing Kent State, you're going to read me a schedule?
But once again, that has. I'm not going with that. I'm going with who is this?
Do you know
that? Hold on. No, I'm going off Indiana. I'm defending Vandy here, which is weird. FIU, Western Illinois, Charlotte. I'm not sitting here saying that. Trust me, I've bashed. The one thing that I can do is I can call out my own team. I can call out my own conference. Learn that. UCLA not very good this year. They're just not right. Maryland just honestly not very good. Northwestern really bad. Nebraska, when Indiana played them, was not they haven't won a game since October. Washington, not very good this year. Michigan State, god awful this year. Awful. The only 2 games that I think Vanderbilt struggles with this year would be Michigan, Ohio State, and they had a bye week in between, is because of pure physicality standpoint. So that would have been going into November 9th. Vanderbilt would have not had a struggle with Indiana's schedule. This year's Vandy, not typical Vandy.
Not typical Vandy.
Not typical Vandy. I'm not going to say that. No, not typical. Diego Pavia Vandy. Diego Pavia Vandy. It's not normal Vandy.
All right, I'm going to change the subject on us here. Okay. I saw and I don't, again, you guys are far more, you guys seem, you put a heck of a lot more effort into understanding the bottom part of the playoff selections than I do, because sometimes I go, well, that just doesn't make any sense to me. But when I'm going to name these teams, and you tell me if they're finally in or totally out after yesterday. And I was shocked at one thing I saw early this morning about one team. I was shocked. Colorado, in or out?
Well, no, Here's the thing about that. It's not Colorado, the Big 12. Nobody's in. Nobody's in unless they win the Big 12. And I don't know his scenario.
They can't.
I don't know if they made the Big 12 championship game. I don't know.
They're not in the championship game.
No, Johnson's right. You got to wait to see what two teams are playing for the Big 12.
Well, they can't.
And
they're not in it.
If they can't, then they're out. I'm just saying.
That's what I'm saying. They're out. They are out. I know that for a fact.
Okay, then they're not in. I'm trying to say is that we don't need to go to Big 12 teams because only one's getting in.
All right. Ole Miss.
Out.
Alabama.
Out.
This morning, 2 of the predictors had them at 13, which means I guess that doesn't. I shouldn't say that means. My question to you two is, if they put them at 13 this week, do they still have a shot, or is that just a number that they have to put somebody in?
Well,
I don't know.
So,
I'm asking. I think that's a fair question to ask because I don't know.
I know. So here's how it works. I'm gonna preface this way. I don't like how they've set these playoffs up in this sense because it is here to here to here to here to here, like it's stupid. But conference championship winners, no matter where they're ranked, 5 of them, the Power 4 and then the highest ranked group of 5 are in.
Right.
Okay. The next highest ranked 7 are placed in that order. So with Boise State is the kicker right now. And the Big 12 champion is the kicker. If Boise is ranked at number 10, they would be in the top 4. Then the Big 12 champion, who's not ranked above 10, would be number 5. So that now the Big 12 champion not being ranked in the top 10, technically, if you're ranked number 1, you're really ranked number 2. If you're ranked number 13, you're really ranked number 14 because they're ranked below you, but they get seeded. So if you're not in, if you're not 10 or higher, you're pretty much bumped out because of that scenario, because of how that.
So that's why you guys keep talking about the 9 spot with Indiana.
Is a bubble.
That's a critical spot.
Yes.
Am I right? I mean, I'm asking a question.
Yes, it is.
That critical?
Yes.
Right. And 8 is more important because the 8 is a home game first round.
Yes.
9 is not.
And so, and if you want to know the truth, if you want to know the honest truth, you don't want to be ranked 8th or 9th. Why? Who does the 8-9 seed winner play? Oregon. If Oregon wins the Big Ten, you got to go play Oregon. You don't want to play Oregon right now. I'm just being honest. You'd rather hope somebody else plays them and hope they slip up. Just what it is. You would rather not be ranked 8 or 9 because the 8-9 winner plays the number 1 team. And right now, nobody's better than Oregon at the moment.
Right.
Really? You guys believe that?
Yeah, well, I do. I believe their team believes that, and that's what's even more dangerous.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you right now. If you're a high school recruit right now, and you have an offer from Oregon, and it's somewhere that you fit in, and all the outside stuff it works, your butt better go to Oregon. That dude, he's got them playing. When you go to Wisconsin, and all week at practice, you start your team meeting off with jump around, just to know you're about to get in the mind of your own kids, and your kids go out there and celebrate when jump around comes on. Imagine what that does to Wisconsin. No team celebrates and dances to jump around as the away team at Wisconsin. Oregon doesn't care. I'm not an Oregon fan, but I'm going to tell you, I love watching that coach. I love watching him and those kids.
I will add a caveat to that, Jonathan, and that is I trust Dan Lanning, head coach at Oregon, more than I trust Ryan Day in the big game.
No doubt.
Wow.
100%. 100%.
Say that again, Chuck. Say that again.
I trust Oregon's head coach, Dan Lanning, a whole lot more than I trust Ryan Day, Ohio State's head coach, in the big games.
But that even Saban said that on College Game Day this week, that Caleb Downs, the All-American freshman safety from Alabama last year that transferred to Ohio State, told Saban.
I can't believe he said that on national television.
Saban don't care no more. He goes, we had 5 easy cupcake games before Oregon. We weren't prepared because we don't do things the way that you did them in Alabama and make us prepared for every moment. Ryan Day, I'm not a big Ryan. Maybe it's Ohio State that I don't like is why I don't know. But I think of Ryan Day as I do James Franklin in the sense of like just get the talented players there and let them play rather than develop. Maybe I'm wrong. But Coach Matthew says, what has Dan Lanning ever won? He's won everywhere he's been as a coordinator or a position coach because he's been under Saban and Kirby Smart, so he's learned how to do things that way. That's the reason why I believe in him, because his players believe in him and the way that he does it, the toughness mentality, the I don't care who we're playing mentality, and those players have bought into him. And that's why I believe in him more than I do Ryan Day, because Ryan Day's had every chance to win the big game, and he's never done it.
And there's always this year, right?
I mean, there is, but I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't see it. I could be wrong.
So Georgia's back now. Texas is there. The Volunteers. Look, that's going to be a big football game next week in Nashville. That's going to be a heck of a football game. Are they going to keep it at Vandy, or are they moving it to the Titans Stadium, Jonathan?
It's at Vandy, from my understanding.
Okay. It's going to be a heck of an environment. Man, the Vols better be ready.
So here's what people don't need to, about the SEC, what you don't. Same thing for Penn State, really, in the Big Ten. Now that A&M lost, there is still a slight scenario that Tennessee could play in Atlanta. You don't want to. Lane Kiffin even said it. All the coaches understand. You don't want to play in your conference championship game because it means nothing now outside of hanging a banner. It's literally like college basketball conference championships, right? The tournaments. The only time they mean something is if you are hypothetically, Clemson at number 17 right now. Well, they want to be in the championship game because that's the only way they can get in. If you're in the top 10, you don't want to play because the reward of getting a bye is not worth the risk of not getting in. And that's where Georgia is at right now. Georgia at the moment is in Atlanta. They're in the playoff at the moment. No, right now, because Alabama and Ole Miss losing, they go up to like 7. They're in the playoff at the moment. You don't want to play in Atlanta.
But they're already in. They have to play in Atlanta.
As a Tennessee fan, I want Texas to beat the absolute brakes off of A&M so Tennessee doesn't have to go to Atlanta. Then Tennessee's in. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's where the conference championship games have become so meaningless.
That's a heck of a flaw in the system, isn't it, man?
It's so the only teams that want the Big 12, they need a championship game so they get somebody in. Otherwise, the Big 12 is not in this thing this year. They're just not. But if you're the Big 10 of the SEC, you don't want to play in the championship game because you don't want to take a chance of something happening. That's where Penn State's going, thanks, Ohio State. Appreciate that.
So let me ask you this. I think the game that has as much meaning as Texas A&M next week is a non-conference game with Clemson and South Carolina.
It does, because Clemson now has a chance to get in it, and it's weird for me to say that.
So Chuck?
No. I still think the game is Tennessee Vanderbilt. The game.
It has a heck. I agree. It's got so much meaning, but for the bubble part, they're even talking that South Carolina somehow is still on the bubble. I don't understand with 3 losses.
They're not. They're just talking.
This is what I was laughing about the SEC Nation and Paul Feinbaum, and then morning SEC in the morning. They are whining and bitching so much. It's almost like children not getting their marbles to play in the sandbox. Hey, bottom line.
They do that just to do it.
Tennessee has everything to lose if they at Vanderbilt.
Mm-hmm. If they just beat Vandy, they're in.
Right.
So I'm going to just go down these rankings real quick, and you'll see what I'm talking about in a second, because this pertains to what you're saying, though, Dad. So Oregon, Ohio State are going to be 1, 2, doesn't matter. Texas is 3, Penn State 4. Those don't change. Indiana, Alabama, Ole Miss, 5, 6, and 5, 7, and 9 lost. So now Notre Dame's 5, Miami 6, Georgia 7, Tennessee 8. Indiana drops to 9, in my opinion. All right. Then Boise at 10. Then you're going to have SMU 11. Clemson's going to be 12. I'm dead serious, because BYU, A&M, Colorado all lost in front of Clemson. Then you've got, unless they drop Alabama, no, Alabama would be 13 and Ole Miss would be 14. Clemson's going to mess around and be at number 12. So here's what I'm getting at. If Texas and Georgia play in the SEC championship game and Georgia loses, Clemson's in at number 12. Because you got Miami and SMU ahead of them. I'm dead serious. There's a chance that Clemson is going to get in if they take care of business at South Carolina, because everybody says South Carolina's the best 3-loss team, blah, blah, blah. I don't really care about all that. South Carolina's playing good football right now. I don't care about the rest of it. They're playing good football. I'm not saying they're a top 15 team, but they're playing decent football. You know what I'm saying? If Clemson takes care of business against South Carolina, Clemson's got a chance to be the 12 seed, which now matches up with the loser of Oregon, Ohio State. And Clemson's got to go to Oregon, Ohio State, depending on who wins the Big Ten. Because the loser of the Big Ten will get the 5 seed. Oregon or Ohio State. They'll get the 5. Then Penn State will get the 6 seed. All right. Notre Dame will get the 7. And if Georgia loses, that means Tennessee mathematically will get the 8 and have a home game, because the ACC champion ranked higher than them gets a bye.
It's too complicated for me, Chuck.
Well, he's onto something here, but this chaotic things that happened Saturday really and again, his opinion has got merit, but he's not on the committee. I don't know how they think on the committee. So I can say what I think. It doesn't matter, because they're not calling me up asking my opinion. Jonathan's opinion has merit. I'm trying to figure out, getting into the committee, what they're going to do. And I think they are just experiencing a cluster gaggle in the committee, trying to decipher the 5 through 12 or 5 through 14.
Can you imagine?
You want to know how I think it plays out right here? Like I just said, I think Notre Dame 5. Then that puts Miami 6. Georgia at 7. Either Tennessee 8, Indiana 9, or Indiana 8, Tennessee 9. Which means, what are they setting up? A Tennessee, Indiana. Who's playing at home though? At 8 and 9. Once again, you don't want to be 8 or 9, in my opinion, because that means you win. You're playing Oregon or Ohio State.
That's all a possibility. I'd like to add one thing. Having read it to you guys about a projection out of the so-called predictors, but they were projecting that if they go Indiana 7, which is a long shot, but if they predict put Indiana 7, Georgia 8, and Tennessee 9, they are setting up a Tennessee at Georgia first round football game.
They can't though. They can't. It can't happen.
Why is that?
Because Georgia, if they play in Atlanta, if they win, they'll get a top 4. If they lose, they're out.
That's what I was saying.
Did you say second round matchup?
Huh?
Did you say first or second round matchup?
First.
Oh, they can't. They can't. Because if Georgia wins the SEC, they have a bye week first round. If they lose the SEC, they're not in the playoff.
That's a good point.
That's just off of how it's ranked right now. I'm looking at conference championship games, and they rank so Tuesday's rankings are how they are right this second. Well, Tuesday night when they do this is really just fluff. It's honestly, it's for TV ratings, and it's to make money. it really has no bearing on the actual end result because, once again, unless I'm just crazy, looking at just the math of who lost, who didn't lose, regardless of where Tennessee and Indiana are ranked 7, 8, 9, 6, whatever, Clemson's probably going to be 12 this week.
Oh, yes.
Which literally puts them back in the conversation after conference championship week. That's my point. It's like if Georgia loses, Clemson is going to be the biggest Georgia fan by going, we need Texas to beat you because now we're gonna get in at 11 or 12. We're going to be in now. We're on the road, but we're in. You can't win it if you ain't in it.
One thing the committee said, Ward Manuel said last weekend, I think it was, they was asked almost like looking forward. He said, we do not play that game of projection. We do not go and project what you said. He said, we take it right as it is right now.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying they can't do that. But the only reason I'm saying they can't do that is because Georgia and Tennessee can't play because Georgia's not going to – either they're getting a bye or they're not in.
Right.
That's what I'm getting at. But yeah, no, at the moment, but what does it sound good for? It sounds good for TV. It sounds good for TV that, hey, you're going to get a Georgia, Tennessee at Georgia. Blah, blah, blah. It mathematically can't happen.
Right. So they don't play. They right now, we look at the teams, we rank them, and just fall where they may. I'm sure they go once the championship Saturday is over with, I'm sure they'll play that. They won't have to play that game. Then what their final rankings will be, you'll see a lot of musical chairs.
True. Never mind. I misspoke, gentlemen. Dad, oh, Jesus. Oh, God. South Carolina's ranked one behind Clemson, guys.
That's what I told you guys this morning.
Oh, gee. Oh, no. Here, hey, we're going to find out how much they really value Ole Miss and Alabama to see where they rank them, because if they rank them, if they put South Carolina, guys, there's an actual chance a 3-loss team gets in.
I know. That's what I was saying. That's what I was saying. And I agree with Chuck. The Tennessee game is here, but the South Carolina Clemson game is here.
Stop. Here's why this is important. It depends on where they rank Alabama, Ole Miss, but this proves my point on why conference championship games do not matter. They should not be played. Conference championship weekend should be the first round of the playoffs, because you're going to have teams. Are you really going to sit here and tell me, honestly, as much as it hurts me to say this, that South Carolina is better than Georgia? Or South Carolina is better than Alabama?
How did South Carolina get into the championship game with Texas 1 loss, Georgia with 2 losses? Huh?
They can't. No.
They're not in the championship game.
No, they may be ranked 13th tomorrow or Tuesday.
Yes.
Because they're 18 right now. So this tells you, how are they going to value? I don't think they're 13th, though. I think they're going to give that to Alabama because Alabama bias. But they're going to be in the top. They'll be in the top 14.
Yeah, would have, could have, should have. Yeah. I think it's what the committee does. We'll know that tonight.
No, but that's what I'm getting at. No, I'm playing off of not hypotheticals. I'm playing off of teams that have lost yesterday and where everybody's going to get pushed up to.
I hate playing this game, Jonathan, but just your opinion is who's in right now. If Georgia and Texas win out on the final regular season weekend, is Georgia and Texas playing for the SEC championship?
Yes.
If Georgia's
in it because they don't have an SEC opponent left.
Right. All right. So if Georgia loses that SEC championship game and they go to losses,
they're out. That's what I'm saying. If you're Georgia, you don't want to play in Atlanta because right now you're in. You're in. Ole Miss and Alabama lost. Georgia's going to minimum 7. You got a home game. You're going to have a damn home game in Athens, Georgia. You go to Atlanta and you lose. Well, you're not in it now.
Yeah.
Go home. That's why I'm saying the conference championship, these coaches don't want to play them anymore because it's the same thing. It's just like, do you care? And people can say, oh, they won't. Do you really care if Michigan Chuck, if Michigan wins the Big Ten basketball conference championship, or if they make it to a Final Four? Which one do you care more about?
Final Four.
That's my point. That's my point. The conference championships don't mean a thing in basketball unless you're ranked 14th out of 14 and you got to win it to get in. It doesn't mean anything. Yes, even if they lose by one, I think they're out because it's 3 losses. You got too many 1 and 2 loss teams ahead of them now.
But
I
really think that. At neutral sites in basketball, and it's 70 teams or something like that. There's a lot of teams playing. So
but I'm just saying that's the reason the conference championships don't mean anything.
So let me kind of break it down here. What it means, and Coach Matthews and I both understand. And this shows our age. If you win the ACC basketball tournament right now, you get a trophy and a banner. And unless you're one of the lower seeds, like Clemson or somebody like that, you're not getting in. The other teams are in. Mm-hmm. Back in the day, the 2 greatest college basketball teams that ever walked on the face of the earth were the 1974 Maryland Terps and the 1974 North Carolina State Wolfpack. And they played the greatest college basketball game ever played in Greensboro for the ACC championship. NC State won in overtime. Maryland went home.
No, I get that.
So that's what you're saying. I'm justifying what you're saying. So
listen, to an extent. Now, listen, in the Big Ten, it's not that way because Ohio State only has 1 loss. Georgia's got 2 losses is why that pertains to that.
That's why Lane was up in the arms about, I don't want to go to the conference championship game because they had 2 losses.
If Georgia wins it, Texas is still in because that only puts them at 2 losses.
Correct.
That's what I'm trying to say is Georgia's in it without going to Atlanta. Going to Atlanta, it is literally flip a coin if they're going to be in now. That's what I'm saying is if they go to Atlanta and lose to Texas, if Texas wins next week, all right, Clemson's probably going to get in, guys.
Okay, so honestly, is there any other conference, and this is for both of you, is there any other the Power 4 conferences that scenario is going to play out next week?
ACC. The loser has a chance, depending on where they get ranked, the winner's in. But if Miami wins, and I don't agree with this, but if Miami wins, SMU's out. If SMU wins, Miami's still in at like 11. Agreed. So for the ACC, you almost want SMU to win to get 2 teams in.
Chuck, what do you think? What on the statement Jonathan just made?
Agreed.
100%. Do you?
Oh yeah.
Okay, you 2 agreeing too much here. Something's wrong.
No, because I'm sitting here. I've got a split screen. I'm looking at the rankings and where they're ranked, and how I look at it is go. Okay, there's only 2 ways to look at it. If this team wins or this team wins. If this team wins, well, they got 2 losses. They're done. If this team wins, but they've only got 1 loss, they're still in.
So people are really rooting for Boise to lose next week.
Yes. And here's why. Because then it puts them at 12, not at 10 or 11 where they would be ranked.
And they would not get in.
No. I take that back. Shoot, looking at it, they're the high because Army's going to drop. So Boise's in regardless now because they're the highest ranked group of 5.
You see,
here's
you have to have. And
yes.
Again, Chuck, do you have to have a group of 5 team in?
Yes, I just told you.
I'm asking. I don't know.
I know. I told the Power 4 and the highest ranked group of 5 conference champion get in automatic. But here's where it gets tricky. If Boise State, which they are right now, is ranked higher than one of the Power 4 conference champions, aka the Big 12, Boise State gets a bye at number 4. And that's where we're headed, where the Big 12 champion will end up getting the number 5 seed.
See, Boise's only loss right now is to Oregon, number 1 ranked Oregon.
Yes. So think about it, though. This is where I said this is where it gets tricky. Let's just say doesn't matter who wins the Big 10. They're ranked number 1 and 2 right now, so it doesn't matter, okay? The loser should get the 5 seed, correct? Because they're the next highest ranked team. They won't. They'll get the 6 seed because the Big 12 will get the 5 seed. then now you're the number 6. You're the number 2 team in the country, but you're getting the 6th seed.
Right.
Then that takes everybody else. If you're not, now, then it takes down to go Penn State, you're 7. Then it takes Notre Dame, you're 8. Notre Dame's ranked 5th in the country, and they're the last home team. That's why that's why I don't like the model. It should be the top 4 teams or the top 4 freaking teams. It doesn't matter if they're all ACC, SEC, Big 10, or Big 12. If that's how it worked out that year, it's how it worked out. Like, because you could be the number 2 team in the country, aka Ohio State, and have a chance to be the 6. The number 6, which is not right. That's what I'm getting at. That's why being number 10, you're really on the bubble because the Big 12 is not going to be ranked in the top 10 and they're getting in. So you're really 11, if not 12.
All right. Question, Chuck. What time are they announcing the rankings this week, Tuesday? When do they do that?
7:30.
Okay. Are you going to be at work?
No.
So we're going to do a show at 8:00 Tuesday. Right, Jonathan? Right, Chuck?
Yeah, they'll take an hour, but yeah, you get the information.
Yeah, we can get it live as we go. So let me here's an intriguing thing. I don't want to talk about rankings and I don't want to talk about any of that. I hope that the northern teams in the first round host some of these playoff games. I hope.
I mean, they're going to.
Yeah, and I hope the weather.
Ohio State and or Oregon are going to host a game.
I want to see.
Host a game.
I want to see one of our guys from the South go up and play in the weather. I think that's awesome because I think it's going to have an effect on the football game.
Yeah, but you got to realize though, what part of the South you're talking about because it gets cold as hell in Tennessee. It gets cold as hell in South Carolina.
Right.
Now, Florida and Southern Alabama. Now you're talking. Oh, it makes a difference. But if you're coming from North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, it doesn't affect us because we get cold.
Some
we
of
get
those
games.
weather though up north in mid to late December can get like never what you've seen in Tennessee.
I get that, but here's the thing: it ain't mid to late. It's not. Well, no, I tell you, first round's the 20th. No, it would be.
Let me say this: on the SEC in the morning, Peter Burns said the same thing David said, but he says, I want our 3 teams to go up there and play in that cold weather and kick the crap out of them so we can say, can we stop this conversation? And I'm sitting there going, are you really saying this? And Chris Collinsworth leans over and says, okay, but what happens if you lose all 3 of the games? And Peter Burns goes, well, you're a bad guy.
But like I said, I agree. I think I like snow football is fun. It's super fun to play in. 2, it's as a fan, it's fun to watch. If it's a Florida State, and Miami, I understand. Yes, it is a big deal because I used to have spring practice in blizzard snows in Knoxville. Yes, it gets. I've played up north too. I get it, but it's not as big of a deal to a Tennessee or a Kentucky as it is Alabama, Mississippi, and Florida teams and Texas teams. Those teams, 100%, it is a different level. But Tennessee sits there and goes, dude, it is 5 degrees when we get up in the morning to go to freaking winter workouts.
And,
you know what I'm saying? Like, I think it would be great if Texas had to go play at Ohio State in December. That would be awesome for me because now it is a full-blown advantage.
I remember last year, although it is Division III, Elma College playing in the 2nd and 3rd round at home, and there was snow everywhere.
Oh, I love it.
Man,
it's fun. I agree.
Look,
I want to watch the game.
Jonathan, you told me one of your most fond memories on a football field was up at the old Memorial Stadium at Asheville High when you were like 9 years old.
Oh, yeah.
With the wind chill factor was like 22 or 23 below. And everybody the kids were leaving and that was an amazing day. But anyway,
it's going to be interesting. It really is. I think Tuesday is going to be a big deal to see. They're really going to let us know how much value they put on quote unquote conference bias. And I mean that by Alabama and Ole Miss, how far they really drop. You know what I'm saying? If they drop to, I'm just making up a number here. If they only drop to 12, they want one of those two in. If they drop to 14 or 15 like they probably should, you know what I'm saying? Then we go, okay, now the committee's not showing as much bias. They are just going by wins and losses. I think Tuesday's going to be massive to see. Now, I think Alabama and Ole Miss should drop below Clemson, but still ahead of South Carolina. Just my opinion. But I think they should drop below Clemson because I think Clemson, by the math alone, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams ahead of Clemson that lost. Mathematically, Clemson should really bump to 11 or 12 by just losses. We'll see.
We'll have a great debate Tuesday night at 8:00. But I want to switch gears a little bit. I want to switch gears. And if you don't know,
I swear, last thing on this. Sorry, I'm looking right here, Chuck. This proves the point. And I don't care who the loss is to. It doesn't matter, okay? Because if you're saying strength of schedule doesn't matter, then it doesn't matter who you lose to.
I didn't say that.
No. If you're saying by the committee, not you. Sorry, the committee.
No,
if you're saying
the committee goes by wins and losses and head-to-head and what your opponents do. They take strength of schedule 4th or 5th.
I know, but I'm going to prove the point. How many spots did BYU drop last week after their first loss?
6,
8.
8. How many?
We're going to find out. Once again, this goes into what I'm saying Tuesday. We will find out how much quote unquote conference bias there is towards the SEC and the Big Ten because of Indiana versus the Big 12 because they don't. Let's call it like it is. They don't value the Big 12 very high. We know that at the moment.
You're not looking to a top 5 ranked team. What did Ohio State drop to after losing to Oregon? They flipped.
But that was early in the year, not week 13.
How far did Georgia fall after losing to Alabama? They dropped.
Hold on. Well, once again, early in the year, but I can tell you. Hold on. What week did they play?
3, 4.
Hold on. I'm just going through. I'm at week 5 and they hadn't played yet. They dropped 3 spots.
Okay.
But it was also week 6, not week 13.
Right.
There's a difference. Week 12, what's this? Week 12, BYU loses and dropped 8 spots. They literally went from 6 to 14. Number 6 to number 14. I'm not saying Indiana's going that far. I'm still saying Indiana's in the top 12. That's what I'm getting. But I'm just saying we're going to find out how much they value because we've known for years if you lose, you better lose early, not late.
2 caveats. One is that that was the AP poll early in the season till November, and the college football poll is completely different.
Okay, and the college football playoff poll is one I'm saying dropped them 8 spots.
So there's a possibility that could happen. I don't
think they drop 8. I don't know. I'm just saying I'm saying the point of I think Tuesday's going to be interesting to see what bias or non-bias they show towards the SEC and the Big Ten with Indiana, Alabama, and Ole Miss. Now, Indiana should be ranked higher than Alabama and Ole Miss. We all agree with that 100% just by pure losses alone. But we're going to find out, because BYU was number 6.
Right.
And they get 1 loss, and they drop to 14.
Look, there is a bias towards the SEC and the Big Ten.
Oh,
but there should be. They're the best football.
Listen, I understand that. I'm saying by the committee of where are they going to rank those higher than Clemson and that type of stuff. I didn't pay attention that BYU dropped 8 spots last week. It's going to get interesting on Tuesday to see where they really do put Indiana. They may just drop them to 6. Who knows? I don't see that. But I could see them dropping. If they did that to BYU, I could definitely, because then I could see them dropping to 10 and dropping on 5 spots.
So let me ask you a couple of questions. And this is after yesterday. Okay. This is not about rankings and all this stuff. This is because the fun part about what we do is you read and you see all these people that are experts, and they say they're experts and all that stuff. Look, we know just as much as these people know, probably more in some aspects. If you are the president of Arkansas, and I saw the coach's press conference yesterday, classy thing. Are you bringing in a new football coach at Arkansas?
Me? No.
Yes.
No.
Jonathan?
Mm-mm. No, I don't
Neither
see
am I.
what he's warranted. I
totally agree.
I don't know what's been warranted to get fired.
I totally agree. If you are at Kentucky, is he looking to get out, or are they looking to get him out?
Neither.
I'm
Personally,
keep him.
Keep him.
I don't think he wants to leave, and I don't think they want him to leave. Because here's the thing: what has Kentucky done before him?
Right.
Who is on the hot seat in the SEC?
Well, to the LSU fans, their head coach, but nobody's going to cough up $61.9 million for a buyout.
We say that, but A&M did it. A&M coughed up almost 90.
Right, but you also Ed Orgeron, he's a wealthy man because of the buyout.
I get it, but his payments are done. His payments are over, though.
JoJo showed. JoJo.
No, hey, I'm not saying they're gonna, but I'm just saying, hey, you know as well as I do, Chuck. SEC and Big Ten. 17. Hey, listen. Does
$60 million to 17. That's a lot of money.
A&M set the precedence last year, was saying we don't care because here's the thing: if they're in football, if there are two conferences that can afford it, who are they? SEC and Big Ten. The SEC and the Big. Now the major teams, Vandy, no, you know what I'm saying? Like those, no. A Minnesota, I don't know if could afford that, but an Ohio State, an Oregon, a Michigan, a Wisconsin, a Penn State can afford that, right? A Tennessee and Alabama, and LSU, a Texas and A&M and Oklahoma, they can afford that over the long haul because they just go, hey, open your pockets. Y'all want us to do blah, blah, blah? Open your pockets. I'm not saying they're going to. I'm not saying they should. I'm not a fan of him at LSU. I never really have been. But don't, just because it's 61, don't think they won't is what I'm saying.
Right.
A&M set the precedence last year.
I don't think anybody in the SEC, I mean, right now LSU fans are upset, but LSU won last night against Vandy. And I think Auburn, Yellowwood, man, the CEO or founder of Yellowwood, who's big backer of Auburn Sports, was the one that wanted Hugh Freeze. So I think Hugh's safe for a year or two at least to see if there's a chance to rebuild. I just don't think anybody in the SEC is on the hot seat.
Was Coach Venables until last night?
Right.
Was he? I'm asking you guys.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Until the loss. And I think he overcame the early bad decisions with the quarterback situation. Arnold played exceptionally well last night. There's not the uproar as the Oklahoma fans. They were upset at losing to Tennessee. And for about the next 3 weeks, it was just real difficult for him. But I think he's solid now with beating Alabama, soundly beating Alabama last night.
What's the pressure? Tell me the pressure in Tuscaloosa on that guy.
It's higher than people think because, hey, he just and this is where their fans are going to sit there and pull these things out and go. We had a 13-year in a row 2 or less loss streak that you just broke, and it was 1 year away from tying the all-time record by Bobby Bowden. Now, granted, is that being petty? Yeah. Is that being spoiled rotten? 100%. Right? But they haven't lost 2 games before the month of November since before Nick Saban, which has been 17 years, by the way. They've now got 3 losses They're out of the SEC championship game. They are out of playoff contention. It's guys, and this is where I go, and Chuck may agree, disagree. It's all good. Coaching in the Pacific Northwest is obviously hard. It is. Coaching football is not easy anywhere. But coaching in the SEC is different. Coaching at Alabama after Nick Saban is literally just like trying to take over from Johnny U or Joe Montana or Paul Bear Bryant. The next coach or the next quarterback of the greatest of all time. It is the hardest job, and you're so like small, minute detail critiqued that it's different. And I just don't know if he's going to last, in the sense of watch his antics last night on the sideline that he's not shown before. They're 8-3. It's not like they're having a horrible year, but it's not to the Saban Alabama standard, right? So I'm not saying he's fired. That's not what I'm getting at. I'm not going to say he's on the hot seat, but I can tell you this: he feels the pressure because there is a difference. There is a huge difference in coaching in the SEC than coaching at the University of Washington. The University of Washington, you can walk in downtown Seattle and people probably don't know who you are unless you're in the Heisman front running race or y'all like whatever as a coach. But when you walk through Tuscaloosa, Alabama, everybody knows how many sugars you just put in your coffee. Like it's the same thing in Knoxville or in Columbus, Ohio, or Ann Arbor, Michigan. You know what I'm saying? Like that. It is different. Athens, Georgia. They know. That's where I think there may not be the pressure, but he's feeling the pressure, if that makes sense.
Right.
It's just and he inherited one of the best football teams in college football, and that's where the fans are even more upset. Is they're going, this team was a max one-loss team, maximum one-loss team going into a SEC championship game, blah, blah, blah. That's the part, because you don't really know how good of a coach he is. He's playing with 97% Nick Saban players.
Probably 2 years ago, I made that statement about the most important hire for Alabama in the coming years is the guy that they're going to replace Nick Saban. Everybody thought Nick won. I thought Nick had about 2-3 more years left in him. He's healthy, he looked good, but he's just tired of the antics of what college football has. And they made a decision that just right now, to the fan base, who are important to these decisions, they made a decision that the boar he's not sold the fans. So I don't know where they go from here.
Trust me, ask what's his face? Greg Schiano. They hired him in Knoxville. The fans signed a petition and said, "We'll never support you again. We're out. Keep my money. I'll keep my money." They released his contract the same day.
Right. So anyhow,
you're right. What I'm saying is you're right. The fans have more of a say-so than people really think.
Right.
They do.
You would be, of the three people on our show, you probably know that more than us.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's so I don't know.
So,
I mean, I'm not saying he's on a hot seat, but I can tell you this: if they lose 3 ball games next year, look for him to be out of town, not by their accord, but by his accord. He'll look for a job.
Yeah.
And you know, his track record is unbelievable. He is he's ever done is win.
Exactly.
But it's a different animal. I get it.
Where is he coached at? And I'm sorry, and that is not in any other way, but
he's not losing. Johnson said he's 8-3. He's winning at Alabama. He's just not winning enough.
Exactly. And that's
he's not wearing the right shirt on the sidelines.
Right.
God almighty.
He's still winning.
But that's what we're saying is like, look at Ryan Day. Ryan Day goes 11-1 and they call for him to get fired.
Exactly. It's who you lose
Once
to.
again, you better have thick, like I mean, like super thick skin to coach at an Ohio State, a Tennessee, a Bama, a Michigan, you know what I'm saying? A Georgia, a Notre Dame. Like, because it's different. It's different. It is. Ryan Day literally 11-1, and they tried to get him fired last year because Michigan, he lost to Michigan, and Michigan won the Natty. He went 11-1. And they were like, and you're not good enough. Am I wrong? I mean, that's what they do.
No. That's what I'm asking you to this for.
And same thing at Texas, like Penn State. I like watching Penn State play. I think it's fun. I don't think Penn State has that standard, or James Franklin would have been gone a while ago. So Penn State is 100% content with saying we are no better than third or fourth in the Big Ten every year. Because of Oregon, Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State. They can either beat Michigan or lose to Michigan, but they're 3 or 4 every year. And they're content with that. Otherwise, James Franklin wouldn't be there anymore.
I will tell you that just the thought that hit my head is that in the expansion, the conference that did a better job expanding is the SEC, because they expand with a very a solid Oklahoma, 6-5 right now, and number 3 ranked Texas. Whereas the Big Ten expanded with 4 teams, 3 of them are dead. They have no heart. And only one is the number 1, so they're all hanging their hat on. Look at us. We expanded with Oregon. And you got USC, UCLA, and Washington. By the way, I watched the USC-UCLA rivalry game last night. They didn't even get off halftime. Flags are flying, everything. It was like a good old LA gang fight, man. They were going after each other.
Hey, let me ask you all. Did you I can't believe I'm saying this. In the ACC, a conference game, Stanford and Cal played yesterday. Yeah, but did you see the quarterback for Cal's interview after the game?
Mendoza, yes.
I'm going to tell you something. I don't care if that kid throws 10 picks a day. I don't care if he throws 10 touchdowns a day. Man, that's a kid I want to be in the huddle with. That was an amazing interview. That was raw. That was human. It wasn't about NIL money. It wasn't about all this other bull crap that you deal with today. Man, that was special. And I know, Chuck sometimes he goes, David, you're so sentimental,
Yeah.
But man, that's what sports is supposed to be about. What that interview last night was unbelievable.
I will tell you,
unbelievable.
I get that, but I'll tell you, the quarterback, stoic, cannot break him mentally, emotionally, will refuse to let let the public see his emotion. And I love those I can go to war with that kind of guy. And he's on this podcast. He did it all his life.
Oh, I did a good job of throwing it around.
No, but this kid, this kid right here, he would, all what he went through, we all know the story, but all what he went through, I always, driving home from Tennessee, calling, talking with True, the kid's absolutely stoic, refuses to let people see the emotion. I would be saying things that are not for TV, something like that, going through the emotional win of a big game. But of course, now when I text his mom about ready to set a school record on completed passes without an interception, and he threw it against Vanderbilt. He did say after, in that stoic context, Chuck, I want to thank you for ruining my opportunity at a record. I'm sorry, Jonathan.
That's what's funny. That was a great story. But I think, again, if you get a chance, folks, go to YouTube, and I don't even know the kid's name. I have no idea who he is. Say that again.
Mendoza.
Just go Mendoza post-game interview, or however you want to do it, and it's amazing because it's raw, it's human, And again, it has nothing to do with NIL money. It has nothing to do with transfer portals. It's got, man, this is just about, I played my rival, my guys in the huddle with me, and that, nothing else in the world mattered. Just us, just the 11 of us. Nothing mattered. And we came back and we went 97 yards to win this game. And just what an interview. So anyway, we're going to get off here. We've got an early Thanksgiving dinner today with Brooke and Brian and my mom, because they're going down to Florida on Thanksgiving Day. But real quick with you two, before we get off, and I'm so looking forward to Tuesday at 8:00. We're going to have a great show. I am really excited about that for the arguments, and because sometimes you two make me uncomfortable because I think, man, these guys, man, they met in 2004 and they're going to kill each other now. I don't want that to happen. So anyway, who's going to be ranked just right now? Just give me the team. Ranked number 1 Tuesday in the next
Oregon.
to last ranking.
Oregon.
Yeah. Same.
Chuck.
Oregon.
2.
Ohio State.
Ohio State.
3.
Texas.
Yeah, Texas and then Penn State.
4.
Penn State.
Agreed.
5.
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
6.
Miami. Everybody's just going to move up.
No, not yet. Because I know we're going to disagree here soon. 6.
Miami.
7.
Here we got the argument.
Georgia.
I'm going Indiana.
So I don't think that.
8.
Georgia.
8's Tennessee.
Tennessee.
9.
Tennessee.
Boise.
10.
Indiana.
SMU.
11.
Now SMU.
11, Chuck.
He's at Boise.
Boise, I think. Yeah,
12
is Clemson.
Arizona State.
in the most important spot, 13, because 13 basically is in, correct?
No. No, 12 is not going to get in. But you got to, because how they do it. 12 is not going to get in.
Wait a minute. Chuck, who do you have at 12? Arizona State? I agree. Jonathan, 12.
No, you're gonna sit here and tell me Arizona State is gonna jump.
Just give me tell me who it is.
I've already given you my answer. Stop.
I didn't hear it.
I don't care. You're gonna tell me Arizona State's gonna jump 9, but Indiana's only gonna drop 1? Not a chance.
2.
Oh, sorry.
13.
Listen, the lowest amount that they've dropped a team in the rankings is 4. The lowest. That's the least amount they've dropped is 4.
He may be right, but I'm not going to concede that until 2.
I'm just saying the lowest, the least amount they've dropped somebody is 4, and you're going to tell me 2, and you're going to jump somebody 9.
13.
13 is Clemson.
No, so I'm going to go 12 Clemson, 13. Now I could see Arizona State being 13 or 14, but I don't see them getting to 12.
Yep.
So where is Alabama and South Carolina?
15 below.
Ole Miss,
they're not in anymore. So it doesn't matter where they're at. That's the whole point. They're done.
I don't think Alabama's totally out. I swear to you that they're going to.
Right. I think Alabama, Ole Miss, and South Carolina are somewhere between the 12 and 15, 12 and 16. They're going to be in that area.
Well, so here's the thing. If you, like I said, I'm looking at just pure rankings alone. The only team I'm going to drop that stays in is Indiana. And I'm going to go with, you'll see, watch this. In the order that it has been: Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, Penn State. Notre Dame jumps up 1 to 5. Miami goes from 8 to 6. Georgia goes from 10 to 7. Tennessee 11 to 8. Indiana 5 to 9. The next team that has not lost is Boise. That's why, to me, Boise goes to 10. SMU is the next team, which goes to 11. Now is where do you say Clemson bumps to 12, or does Alabama drop to 12? That's 12 is where it gets interesting. Everybody else just bumps up, and Indiana bumps to the bottom. And then your top 10 don't really they're the same, but just in a different order. I mean, top 11. Then you've got 12. You got so Alabama, Ole Miss, Clemson, and technically you can bring Arizona State in. So you got 4 teams for 12, 13, 14, and 15. That's what it is. But once again, it doesn't matter where Arizona State's ranked. If Arizona State loses a game, they're gone because they already have 2. If Arizona State wins the Big 12, it doesn't matter. They're in regardless. The only thing that would matter is trying to get ranked higher than Boise to get a bye. But I don't see them ranking them higher than Boise because Boise's only loss has been to Oregon. So that's what I'm saying. Arizona State doesn't matter. Just go win the Big 12 and be ranked number 5.
Right.
Or not 5. Oh, sorry.
I know what you're talking about when you pair them out, but I think when we say Arizona State or BYU is that whoever wins the Big 12, what 2 teams play, and whatever that record, that team's record is, doesn't matter. Big 12 winner of the Big 12 conference is going to be in the playoffs. Wherever.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So to me, it doesn't matter if they're ranked 12 or 104. If they win the Big 12, they're getting in regardless. So that's why I don't think it matters where Arizona State's ranked at the moment. Now they're going to be ranked higher than BYU. They will be the highest ranked Big 12 team because BYU lost again. They're going to drop. They'll probably drop to 20. So after, let's see, 9, I go Boise State 10. I got SMU 11. And then honestly, I think it goes Clemson at 12. I do. I think Clemson's going to go from 17 to 12. I really do. And then I go Alabama, Ole Miss 13, 14.
See, I'll give you a scenario out of the SEC before we get off the air.
Yeah, you're good.
About next week on a Friday, Texas A&M plays Texas and beats them.
Mm-hmm.
Texas A&M and Georgia play for the SEC championship, correct?
Mm-mm.
Who plays for the SEC?
Nope, that's where it'll get crazy because A&M has 2 losses. If I'm not mistaken, how they would do it, it would depend on where Texas and Tennessee are ranked, and I think Tennessee may end up going. And I don't want that.
All right, Tennessee playing who, though?
Georgia. Georgia's in.
Okay. So Tennessee goes in and beats Georgia in that scenario. Then Jonathan
get a top 4 seed.
And then they would get a home.
No. Second round. No, the only teams that are at home are the first 4 games. After the first round, it's all back to bowl game neutral site matchups like Orange Bowl,
right,
Rose Bowl, all that.
Tennessee plays as the SEC champion in the second round at some major bowl game. I mean, you can't ask for a better scenario.
Well, once again, that depends on where everybody drops and
right.
where they. So the number 4 seed plays the winner of 5-12.
Right.
The 1 seed plays the winner of 8-9. The 3 seed plays 6 or 7-10, and then the 2 plays 6-11. So
we have a little chaos still in front of us.
Oh, yeah, because of yesterday. Ole Miss and Alabama yesterday royally screwed everything up in a good, in a fun way as a fan, though.
Did you guys see Lane after his press conference after the game?
No.
Now, look, he's not my best friend, but I know him, and he was good to my son, and I pull for him. Man, I have never seen as great an interview as the kid from Cal is. Man, Lane was just. I don't think that people understand that. You know, Chuck, and I'm talking basically you and I right now, and Jonathan. I don't think that people, the fans, when you talk about fans, okay, I don't think that they really understand if it's you and you're in it, and this is everything to you, what it really means. You know, You know what I mean? The fans are screaming and hollering, and they throw the stuff. I look, the stuff that they say and do, and you get online and do all that stuff. But man, his face yesterday reminded me, and again, my perspective is different. But I remember calling you on my way driving home. And when my son walked out of the locker room at Alabama in the game that they should have won with the field goals, and I said, if you've ever seen death on somebody's face and then be alive, that's the only way I know to explain it, is how the depth of the pain and the hurt. And yesterday, when you saw Lane, the depth and the pain was like your face that day. Does that make sense, Chuck? This stuff is not just, hey, we won and lost a ball game. Man, this stuff is a big deal at that level.
But guys, hey, let's just call a spade here. Do you really think that anybody ever thinks you're going to win a natty at Ole Miss? And it's not that that is not on Lane. I'm calling it like it is from a football standpoint. His quarterback's graduated. A lot of his dudes are gone, right? And they're on the transfer portal. It doesn't even matter. If a good opportunity job opens, why would he not go? I'm just calling it like it is. He's gonna make the same money, if not more, other places. Now, Florida, I don't think is an upgrade of a job over Ole Miss right now. I don't. Regardless of what they did with what's his face down at Napier, I don't think he would go to Florida. But I'm making up schools. Like if Penn State became available, you're damn right he'd probably be the top 3 candidate for the Penn State job.
Do you see that, Chuck?
Do I see that?
Does that make sense to you, what he's talking about? Even though it was a little off of what I was?
I know Lane has a nomad in him, a Donnie Kiefer type characteristic where he doesn't like staying. It doesn't feel comfortable for him to stay long term. He doesn't look at being at programs long term, but he's looking for the next opportunity. It would be a move up from Ole Miss, and I agree 100% with Jonathan. I do think Lane loves the SEC.
Yes, but I'm telling you though, I've played there. There's only a couple schools that are year in and year out when you have the right person in charge. We didn't when I was there. Never mind. But from a program standpoint, a backing standpoint, a money standpoint, it's same thing in the Big Ten. You're going to have your same ones every year.
Right.
Now at Oregon, but you got Oregon, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Wisconsin. In the SEC, you're going to have Alabama, Auburn. I'm not considering in that. I don't. Tennessee, Georgia, Florida.
Let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
Point. And I know Lane loves the SEC, but I don't think if it's time for Lane to leave Ole Miss, I don't think there's the school in the SEC that he will be available. And Lane is not begrudging to go and take a job like what Jonathan said, if Penn State opens up in another conference for a 2 to 4 year period and wait for the opportunity to come back to the SEC. So I agree with Jonathan 100% on that. I just don't think the opportunity of the school Lane wants to go, which is what, Jonathan, a handful?
Yeah, and I don't see. I agree to an extent, but I don't agree with saying I don't think he has to be in the SEC. His dream job is Southern Cal. Well, that was his dream job. No, I'm saying, but that was now. Granted, if he, and we've talked about this, if he would have known they were about to get sanctioned and lose 20 scholarships a year and blah blah blah, he wouldn't have went.
Yeah, he told you that.
I know that's what. Yes, but here's what I'm saying though: because in the SEC, if you're not at one of those schools I just named, you're not every year in and year out. Even when Mark Richt was at Georgia, they were still a contender in the SEC most years. They weren't going to contend for Natty under Mark, but they were contending in the SEC. Ole Miss is one of 4 schools that's never played in the SEC championship game. Vandy being another one. Ole Miss has never played in Atlanta. You can't tell me it's a SEC powerhouse. I'm not saying you guys are, but you know what I'm saying. Like, he wants to compete for a championship. Ole Miss ain't in. It's not. You have reached the pinnacle of what Ole Miss football can be. And he has. He has. He's going to make the same money, if not more, somewhere else. Now, I'm going to throw something out there that everybody's going to be like, you're an idiot, but I think would be a stupid home run, and it would bring so much FU mentality to this conference. Chuck, you're going to love me, but you're going to hate me.
Don't say it. I know where you're going.
But he looked good in maize and blue. But he looked good in maize and blue. I'm telling you, hey, I'm sorry. Y'all just paid $12 million to get a high school football player. You need somebody that can develop him. Dude,
well,
hey,
the
I'm
investigators
just saying, 'cause I'm gonna tell you. You said a handful of schools, right?
Yep.
Well, Southern Cal's out because it's already happened.
Right.
Sure as hell going to be UCLA.
Yep.
Florida ain't it.
Yep.
Florida State, that's sure as hell at this moment, that is lower than Ole Miss. Ohio State's a school. Oregon is a place that is a destination job for football coaches. It is. Tennessee's a destination job, and Alabama is a destination job for coaches that are football. Ole Miss is not. Auburn is not. Florida is, honest, if you really think about it, outside of Spurrier, is not really the destination job for coaches.
LSU,
it's not a destination job unless you're Cajun. I'm being serious. It's hard to coach at LSU. I love the state of Louisiana, but it is hard to coach there. But like I said, Ohio State is, Michigan is, Penn State is a destination job. Out of all of those, which one had the worst season this year?
Michigan.
Hey. No. Hear me out. I'm gonna prove my point here. What other school recently has relieved a coach of his duties after one season to hire somebody they thought that could rebuild their program? Now, granted, it was I'm going to give you a hint. It was a totally different situation. They are in the SEC.
Auburn.
Nope. It was a year and a half for that one. Mississippi State. Now, granted, it was because Mike Leach passed. They got rid of the guy after one season and brought in Jeff Levy. It has been done before. What's this? What did Mississippi State do when that happened? They hired from within, and they went, ooh, damn, this is not what it was under Mike.
Right.
What did Michigan do? They hired from within, and they go, ooh, this is not what it was under Harbaugh. Just saying. Maize and Blue look really good on them, and you want to talk about the ultimate shove it up your you know what, Ohio State.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I'm all for it if that's going to do Ohio. Boys, I got to get off here.
Yeah, I got to go. We got to go. Guys, I'll see you Tuesday. Jonathan, I'll see you in an hour or two. I'm going to go over and get this thing fixed for Brian. Hey, great show today. Chuck, I'm looking forward to many texts today. So
because I went overboard yesterday and I made Johnson cry. He was mad at me.
Yeah.
Guys, have a great Sunday. We'll see you Tuesday. Have a great day, guys. Thank you.
See ya.